Recording right now. Yella, thank you for joining Anablock Podcast. I had an opportunity, obviously, to connect with you in the past, chat a little bit about your products and your new launch. So I would love to spend a little bit of time introducing you to our audience. And I'll first maybe start off, like if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your company, and then we can kind of dive deeper into the product side of things.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much for the opportunity, Vuk. I really appreciate being here. So my name is Jelle van Geuns. I'm originally from the Netherlands, as many people will be able to tell from the name. But I've been in the US for 25 plus years in California. Um, 13 of those have been in the Salesforce ecosystem. So I had a previous Salesforce App Exchange app that I built and sold, doing something completely different. But since last year, I've been working on Cirra AI. And the goal for Cirra AI is to build an admin agent for Salesforce. So basically taking a lot of the grunt work that admins and consultants do in setting up Salesforce and keeping it running, and automating that using AI so that you can just essentially talk to your agent, give it specifications or instructions in natural language, and it will do all the nitty-gritty for you. So our vision is that you should never have to enter the setup pages of Salesforce again. You should be able to do all the interaction through natural language, either written or spoken. And the agent should handle all the details for you.
Very interesting. So you are currently based in Holland. I'm wondering, how did you get started in general with the Salesforce ecosystem or with the product itself, maybe?
So I'm actually based in California.
Oh, you are? Okay. Sorry about that.
I'm originally from the Netherlands, but I've been
Got
in
it.
California for like 25 years. Um, so how did I get started? I I did a bunch of enterprise software stuff before, and like 13 years ago, decided to venture out on my own, and I was trying to build something quickly that would work in an enterprise context, and Salesforce was the ideal platform for that because so much of the stuff that you would have to do to build an application is already there. You have a ready-made object model, ready-made platform, support, infrastructure. So all you needed to do is build the business logic and some custom UIs. So it was really easy to get started comparatively. It's a great platform for that. And
And did you have a technical background prior to sort of working in the Salesforce environment?
yes, I'm a software engineer by training, and
Okay.
I did, a range of technical roles in enterprise software, consulting, R&D, pre-sales, anything technical pretty much.
Okay. So essentially, I'm really interested in sort of the whole cycle between joining Salesforce and now sort of building a specific product for Salesforce orgs. In that interim period, were you any part of like a partner community, or are you currently a partner of Salesforce in any shape or form?
Yes, definitely. In my previous company, we were an ISV partner and had an App Exchange listing. And we're currently also an ISV partner, still working on the App Exchange listing. But definitely that helped. I think in the previous company, it helped a lot to get visibility and to get trust from customers. Um, I think maybe the App Exchange has changed a little bit since then, so I'm not sure how much traction we will be getting from that, but I think as a mark of trust, it's still important to be an ISV partner, um, and that puts especially kind of larger enterprise customers, takes some of the fear away of using a product that from a smaller company.
Okay. Um, what is now kind of, I guess, fast forwarding to your current project? Can you maybe start off by describing specifically the pain points and then the purpose behind the concept or the product that you're currently putting in place with AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So the pain point, as I think anybody in the ecosystem will know, is that it can be quite complex and time consuming to configure Salesforce. There's a million options. Some of the setup user interfaces are a bit tedious to use, and there's just a lot of things to configure. So that takes time. And in my previous company, I experienced it frequently that we would ask for like small changes to be made to enable our product, and they would get stuck in a lengthy backlog of weeks, sometimes months, to get implemented. Um, because the teams doing the implementation were just overwhelmed with all the stuff that they've been asked to do. So what we're trying to do is to take some of that, grunt work off people's plates, make it easier, faster, and more reliable to make basic metadata configuration changes, so that admins and consultants can focus on really providing value to their users and customers. So really thinking about, the goals of, what they're trying to achieve with Salesforce rather than the nitty-gritty um, of, actually making it happen.
So can you maybe walk us through like maybe with a specific example of what would be the workflow using your tool? Let's say if I'm an admin, maybe trying to build some specific either lead process or something. I guess you can just pick an example. But just to understand a little bit more, like how would we interact with the tool, and then specifically how would that tool interact with the Salesforce APIs or the platform itself?
Sure. So let's take an example of, if you need to create a new custom object with a bunch of fields and
And
set the
and I'm
correct.
sorry, not to put you in a spot. I kind of haven't asked you beforehand, but if there's something, for example, that you're able to demo and share the screen, that would be great too. But I
Um,
don't want to put you in a spot either. So however, whatever makes you feel comfortable.
okay, that's fine, but I just need to set up the demo environment a little bit, so that might take a few minutes.
Okay,
Um, but I can talk through it. So,
sure.
uh,
Let's do that.
um, so let's say, for example, we have if you're being asked to create a custom object with 10 fields and several pick lists associated with some of those fields and maybe a formula field, um, you need to add this object and the fields to permission sets, page layouts, record pages, profiles, etc., etc. Um, so that's, it's a fairly simple requirement. It's not conceptually complicated, but it's a lot of clicking to get all that done. So we would allow you to take just the specification that you probably already have in a Jira ticket or in a specification document, copy paste that into our tool, and the tool will take care of doing the actual implementation for you. So it will just read the natural language specification, and it will then implement the metadata in your org via a metadata API connection. So you authorize the connection to the org using OAuth, and then you um, then you click a button, and it will do the implementation. So
Oh, that's
it
very cool.
result with something like this.
Hmm.
I don't really have a live demo, but I can show you what the end result looks like.
Okay.
Let's take a look at this example here, for instance. So we have basically a text like, let's create this object, create some fields on that object, give a little bit of detail about what the object, the
I'm not
field
sure if
type.
you're sharing your screen or.
I am. You're not seeing it? It says I'm sharing.
Okay, that's fine. I think maybe I'm just not seeing it in my end due to the the setting, but no worries. Let's move on then. Um, so if you want to kind of continue describing,
Right. So, once you click the button, then this text specification will get converted into details of the metadata elements that get created, and the actual implementation will be done in the Salesforce org that you're connected to. Um,
very
yeah.
interesting. So is the I guess the end user, is it aimed primarily at admins or developers or other?
It's primarily admins and consultants.
Okay.
We do intend to generate kind of the outline of Apex and LWC code and components, but we don't anticipate being like a full-on developer tool because there are already pretty good tools out there like Cursor that work well with Apex and LWC,
Hmm.
um, and are likely to get much better. So we're really focused on the declarative metadata,
Okay.
the configuration, everything that's not code essentially, and trying to make
So
that
that would
really.
that would include flows, for example.
Yeah, we should be able to create basic flows. Again, flows can be quite complicated. It's close to programming, but and Salesforce, I think, has some ambitions to build an AI flow generator or flow assistant. Um, so depending on how that goes, if the Salesforce tool works really well, we'll just hand off to them. If it doesn't, then we might go deeper on that aspect. That's a little bit
Okay.
TBD.
Interesting. As far as the um, is Salesforce right now doing anything specific in related to um, the concept that you're sharing with us today?
Not that I know of. There is one very cryptic mention in the documentation about an agent for setup that is supposed to
Hmm.
be was supposed to be released in February. I've not seen any actual sign of it other than that one documentation page.
Okay.
So TBD, but in general, I'm not too worried that Salesforce is going to fully invest in this space. I mean, historically, that hasn't been the case, and the admin experience has kind of been not the not the prime focus, and I still think still not the prime focus with Agentforce. You hear a lot of talk about support and sales agents, very little about admin. And in general, I feel like even on those areas where sales and support, my guess is, and this is just a guess, but my guess is that Salesforce will be the as they have been in the past for many other things, the provider of the platform and the capability, and the actual killer end user apps will be done by other people,
Hmm.
by partners. So I don't anticipate that Salesforce would have the SDR agents that would beat all other SDR agents. I think it's much more likely that others will build a really cool SDR agent on top of Agentforce
Hmm.
and ready for support, etc. So that's my impression based on working with Salesforce for like over 10 years. But I could be wrong. It's really hard to predict where AI is
Yeah.
headed, a year or two or even 6 months.
Yeah, I think I have been working with the Salesforce ecosystem for now like 15 years almost. And there historically always have been some areas where they lagged, and a lot of other companies were able to take advantage of it within their own ecosystem and make a lot of money. I think now, especially with Gen AI, there's a lot of opportunity, but I think at the same time they're a little bit worried themselves how well they're launching things. But anyway, so I'm curious then, what is your kind of, I guess, subscription structure, or what kind of pricing do you offer for what types of licenses and so on, if you're able to share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we're currently just doing a simple per user per month licensing um, for the introductory period. So this for introductory pricing, we're charging $199 a month per user with volume discounts for larger. We will soon probably introduce some restrictions on the number of orgs that you can connect to um, for that license fee, because for consulting, especially consulting partners, it's not so much about the number of users as it's in the value that you get out of connecting to customer orgs. But yeah, so that will be the initial pricing model. We may experiment with usage-based pricing as we onboard more people onto the tool. But that's currently not the case.
Okay. Uh, if you have a license, um, or basically if you're a company, if you have multiple admins, can you have multiple, I guess, agents interacting with your instance and sort of like building components as admins, or essentially like how does it work if I have a team that I want to engage with in configuration work?
Yeah, so the team members from an organization will be able to see each other's, if they're connected to the same org, then they will be able to see the changes being made by other people on their team so that they can collaborate
Okay,
on that same org. So it's within the scope of an org connection.
got it.
Obviously, the people can only do things like deploy changes based on their personal access rights. So if they OAuth with a system admin profile, they can do basically what they would be able to do if they were connected directly to the org or logged in directly in the org. But if you have a junior person who may not have those admin rights, they will be able to see the changes and prepare the changes, but they won't be able to actually deploy them um,
Hmm.
because everything is done under their access rights.
So let me ask you then, for example, I mean, we are certified Salesforce consulting partners. We have a number of different customers that we develop and manage their works, on a daily basis. We manage, for example, everything, all the projects inside of Jira. So we have Jira account where we have multiple projects like per customer. So if we have, multiple then pending user stories per each customer, we would essentially take the requirements of the user story, plug it into your tool, and then the your tool is going to start leveraging AI is going to start essentially building the metadata components for that specific Salesforce instance where we're currently connected into. Is that sort
Yeah,
of kind
that's
of the
right.
workflow that I'm envisioning?
Yeah, that's correct. At the moment, we are planning to do a Jira integration as well, so that you can do that more seamlessly directly from the Jira ticket,
Hmm.
and
That's very cool.
you don't have to copy paste things. But as of now, yes, it's a copy paste. You take the requirements, you put them in our tool, maybe tweak them a little bit to be more amenable for our flow if necessary. And then, when you're done with the actual deployment, you get a summary of what was deployed and done, and you can print or export that and attach that also as a document back to the Jira ticket, so that you have a record of exactly what was implemented.
Have you done any case studies, or have just maybe personally, or not personally, but your business might be using it internally for your own Salesforce org? But as much as like how much time has been saved, doing the traditional way, which Salesforce admin, as you said, would do a bunch of clicking versus, for example, using your tool.
But I think for a use case like this one, it's easily 90% time savings. You would creating, I think, like 8 or 9 fields here and adding permissions, and this is still kind of a simplified use case. Um, that's a lot of clicking plus there's some the tool will fill in the blanks for many fields that they're not explicitly specified, like plural labels, descriptions, etc., etc. Um, so all those things are done consistently, and you still have, as a human, you can review exactly what's happening and make changes to the process, but you don't have to, think of all the nitty-gritty stuff yourself. So I would say for these types of use cases, easily 90%.
Got it. Within your AI stack, are you using any agent frameworks, or I'm wondering like if you're using agents to generate these the output itself, or you're kind of using more of the foundational model plus maybe some embeddings or something else.
So we're using the OpenAI assistants, um,
I
the
see.
collection of assistants for different phases of the workflow,
Hmm.
and orchestrating those, not specifically using a framework, but we are essentially orchestrating those agents to help each one perform its task most efficiently, and
Hmm.
then handle issues if there's a failure for some sort of reason, an implementation failure. It could be because of a transient issue, it could be because of some
Hmm.
data conflicts with the target org, or it could be various reasons. So that trying to provide some assistance and a path to correct those issues, that's kind of been the main focus.
Being software engineer myself, one of the kind of most common bottlenecks is really business requirements or clearly understanding the requirement itself. So I'm wondering, how does your AI handle that aspect of things? Because sometimes, you're just not sure what exactly you're building.
Yeah, so several parts to that. First, like this initial product is really mainly focused on taking the output of that process, and implementing once the specifications are relatively well defined. We do have, however, the ability to um, ask the AI for assistance during the implementation of specific, or the specification of specific elements. So let's say if it generated a recommendation to use a lookup to a specific type, you can ask it to explain its reasoning and to give you alternatives, etc. So there's a little bit of AI support in the
Hmm.
detailed specification. Um, where we, ultimately want to go is that, we go up a level and help the user think through that requirement specification at a more business focused level, and then spit out kind of these detailed requirements. So that's work in progress. Right now, our focus is on assuming that you have a fairly clear description of what you want,
Hmm.
implementing that super efficiently. But yeah, it is definitely a goal to be able to interact at a higher level and break a detailed requirement down into multiple components, and then automate the implementation of each one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as a user, I mean, this is like um, very useful concept. I think you have a very interesting product overall. And then as a user too, I think where it would help me kind of to connect the two, I guess, parts of the whole, I guess, user story life cycle. because like for example, today I'm using AI to kind of have my own template specifically using AI to generate me user stories for my projects, but it's always following a specific template, so I'm getting the same output all the time. And I think to then plug in directly that specific output with your tool to where I don't have to necessarily do the copying and pasting part would be very helpful. And I think like then upstream from there, you could also sort of like fine tune how your essentially JSON structure should look like when you're getting a user story. I think that would kind of probably increase your sort of efficiency of like of getting the right results at the end of the day. But in general, I think connecting like Jira with your tool would be definitely very beneficial for me as a user. Um,
Yep, for sure.
so yeah, moving on a little bit. So I'm kind of curious, how big is your team? And like how long, I guess how long ago have you launched your current product?
So the product was launched last week, actually.
Okay. Oh,
Very
congratulations.
fresh. Thanks. So we've been working on it for like a little under a year. Um,
Okay.
and we have an offshore development team, like 5 people, and here locally, um, like 3 people plus some support for marketing, etc. So
Okay.
fairly nimble team. Um, but hopefully we'll be growing soon. I think we have really good traction. We had like almost 100 people start a free trial for since last week. So that's
Very
very
good.
encouraging. Getting really good feedback. People really see where this is heading, even if we know there's like 100 things that still could be done, and especially the Jira connection, etc. Um, but I think it's low-hanging fruit. There's just you know um, a lot of still manual work in the admin workflow that is unnecessary. That is really nobody likes doing it.
Hmm.
Um, it's not rewarding in any sense, but it has to be done. So I think we can help take that stuff off people's plates and kind of, like I said, have them focus more on the higher level thinking, like, okay, what do we really want to do with Salesforce, and where can we add value to the business rather than, what label should this field be?
Have you, or actually, are you attending Dreamforce? I'm sorry, not Dreamforce, the developer conference coming up next week?
Yep, I'll be there.
Okay. Um,
Love to meet everybody that's there as well. Will you
Excellent.
be?
Um, Actually, I'm gonna be in Disneyland. I'm taking my kids and my family, basically my wife, and we're all going to Disneyland. Unfortunately, I'm gonna miss that one. But so have you raised any money, or have you been kind of bootstrapping the project so far?
So mostly bootstrapped. We have a little bit of like friends and family
Hmm.
thing. But we'll be raising funds starting later this month. Or yeah, what is it? Is it March 1st already? Anyway, in
Almost,
March.
yeah.
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 Um,
So how can our audience find you or find your product, or do you have free trials? What's the current state?
Yep, absolutely. So if you just go to Cirra.ai, there's a free trial button at the top of the screen. You can just click on that and sign up for a free trial. I'd love to get everybody's feedback. And if you have questions or suggestions, you can always hit me up on LinkedIn or email me, Jelle@Cirra.ai. Love to hear from you.
Awesome. And we'll be sharing all of these links in the description. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations on the launch. I hope it goes well for you. I hope we get to chat again to get more updates or in the future to see how everything is going for you and the company. Thank you, Yellen. Thanks for being on Anablock Podcast.
Thanks so much, Fulk. I really appreciate the opportunity and have fun in Disneyland next week.
Thank you.